Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It is me, Desiree, and today is a video idea that actually came courtesy of my boyfriend. I'd asked him if he had any plant video ideas that he could think of for me for this month, and one of them he gave me was plants that shouldn't be alive, and I was like, I love that idea. So I gathered up a few plants here that for some reason have defied logic and put up with all of my beginner mistakes. At least a few of these have put up with a lot of beginner mistakes, and for some reason they're still just doing good, but I have no idea why. So the first one, and the first plant I knew I had to go grab, is this one. I mean, this one barely counts because it's hardly alive. It's this. This is my Scindapsus trubii Moonlight. Don't laugh. Don't laugh at it. He's got 2 leaves. And this used to be one of the $20 trending tropicals from Costa Farms, but it has slowly just declined and declined and declined, and I don't know why that is. But it's been these 2 leaves for a very long time, and I completely forgot about this because you know why? I moved it to the top shelf of my bookshelf, and I knew better than to do that. I should just keep it at eye level, but I put it up there, and the other day I was going in through dusting it, and I saw this there all wrinkled up, and I was like, oh no, my baby. So I just watered it yesterday, so it hasn't totally perked up yet, but for some reason the whole plant dwindled down to 2 leaves, and the 2 leaves are doing really good. I don't know why, it just liked to be a 2-leaf plant, but I can't give up on it. I don't know why that is. I wish I had watered it sooner so you could see it nice and like perked up, but normally the leaves are standing up pretty good, and it will perk back up, and like, I don't know, hopefully it'll bounce back. But yeah, this plant has no business being alive, but I think it liked to be a small plant. So this used to be I don't know how big those planters are, 6 inches or 8 inches, and now he's 2 leaves. I don't know why it's still alive and why it puts up with all my forgetting about it, but I don't know. It's
the stairs are good. I used to do all that myself.
I think my neighbor's, she has someone going up to her roof, and it's right outside the window. And I feel like he's gonna look into the window and see me. It's fine. Is it? The next plant is one I have featured here and there over the last year or so here on my channel, and it's this little cutie that I cannot take out of this Halloween planter. I think this is the cutest thing I've ever seen, and it just makes sense with this little plant. This is a Hoya called Crinkle 8, and it's called Crinkle 8 because it has these little dips in the leaves like someone like pinched it. It's super, super cute, and the reason this plant should not be alive is because this used to be a hanging basket, and this was one of, if not like the first Hoya I'd ever seen that was like really different and cool. I bought it here locally. I grabbed the hanging basket like the lady, they were unboxing. She took it out and put it on the table, and I was like right there, and I scooped it up, and I went home, and I remember not having the money or not wanting to spend the money because I remember I bought 2 Hoyas. I bought this one and another one I'm going to mention that I made a ton of mistakes with. I bought 2 of them, and I want to say it was going to be like $40 or $50 or something to buy both of them, and I was like, oh no, my god, I can't spend that much, but I bought them both anyway. And this is just one little vine now because I made so many mistakes with this plant. I really can't even believe that this piece survived, and it's been like this for months and months and months. It's never grown, it never died, it's still alive, but it doesn't do anything anymore. So the reason it shouldn't be alive is because I repotted it into a pot that was way too big. Like, I didn't know anything about repotting back then, and I put it in a pot that I wanted it to be in, no matter what the size was. It was way too big of a pot for how small the plant was and how little the roots were in that plant. And it was also really deep. Like, there was probably this much soil and like this much, like the roots are super, super small on this plant when I got it. So it was a ton of soil on the sides as well. And it just started declining because it wasn't too big of a pot. It didn't know what to do with all that water that was in there. So then I repotted it again into another pot that was also way too deep, but it was smaller this way. Same thing happened. So you know what I did? I repotted it again. And I just put this plant through so much, and it just kept dying and dying and dying until it was this little guy left. So then I thought, okay, fine. I'm gonna put that little plant into the smallest planter that it needs, and I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it, and you know what? It's been doing great ever since. I mean, it hasn't done anything, but I love it. I think it's cute, it's perfect. It lives on the top of that shelf there, and it just gets kind of like low light most of the day, and it's doing okay. But yeah, this has no business being alive because it put up with so much for me, but I love it. It's so cute. And I did end up buying another hanging basket of Crinkle 8 a few months ago, and it's thriving away because you know what? I left it. I didn't repot it. It's still in the pot it came in, and it's doing amazing. The next plant, this is the other Hoya that I bought with the Crinkle 8, and this is actually the one I just redid in my putting a trellis on my Hoya video. So if you saw that video, this is it after I watered it, and it's nice and perky now. I put some willow branches in here for it to climb on, except this one I put with the tall one, and it has the short vine, and this one I put with the short twig, and it has the long vine, so I think I gotta switch those out. Anyway, this is the other Hoya that has no business being alive, because again, I made all my beginner Hoya repotting everything mistakes with this plant. Again, this was a lot bigger of a plant, a big hanging basket. I did the same thing. I repotted it over and over and over because I wanted it to be in different pots. And now I realize if I want my plant, if I feel like I want to switch out the pots all the time, I'm going to keep it in the plastic pot and then just put it in the planter that I want and switch this out. That way I don't have to keep repotting the plant. And anyways, I repotted it. Same thing happened. It just kept dying and dying and dying and dying. And finally I put it in this planter, and it has never moved since. And it didn't do anything. I want to say it maybe had like 10 leaves on it. It sat right there in the corner of that shelf right next to the window where it's been ever since. And it didn't do anything for a very long time. It was just this past winter, fall-ish. I feel like it was just this past season. It started growing and it started putting out little leaves left and right, and I was so excited, and it filled out the whole pot. I got to put these willow branches in there to make like a little makeshift trellis. So, you know, with Hoyas, less is more with these plants. Like, they don't need you to fuss over them a whole lot. At least the ones I have don't. I don't have any of like the fancy ones. But, you know, less is more. Leave them alone, repot them the one time into an appropriately sized pot, and then leave them alone. And they will reward you greatly. So this plant has no business being alive because of all the mistakes I made on it. But you know what? It's doing well now, and I'm so happy about it. This is one of my absolute favorite plants. Okay, this next plant has no business being alive. My neighbor's outside on her roof, and she can look right into this window, and I'm like, ugh, please don't look over here. I don't think they can really see in though, because I think where the sun's at and stuff, it's just the thought that they can see me. Anyway, the next plant that has no business being alive is this, and I don't think I've mentioned this plant since I talked about it one time on my channel. This used to be in my little like picture icon thing on my YouTube channel. This is a Stromanthe Triostar? Stromanthe Triostar? Something like that. I bought this, I want to say I bought this at Osuna Nursery. And this plant has confused the heck out of me because I have no idea how to care for it. A lot of it has died, obviously. Like, there are these leaves with these brown crusty things on it. There's just dead leaves on it left and right. It really, really needs water right now. And like, I could see the soil's even pulling away from the pot. But even then, it put out a brand new leaf. So I don't know what this plant's deal is, and I truly have no idea why it's still alive because I always forget about it. So this plant, as far as what I had learned, it likes to be on the moist side. It doesn't need to stay wet all the time, but it doesn't want to be dry, like dry as a bone like I tend to leave my plants. When that kind of happens, it will start like getting these crispy pieces here on the leaves. But I don't know why it put out this new one. I don't know. I forget about this plant all the time. It's in a pot, like a ceramic pot, and I keep it in here because this will hold on to a lot of moisture. Like, this stays wet for a long time. Like, not wet, but it takes a long time to dry out. I kind of forget about it because I think it's going to take forever for it to dry out. By the time I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, how long has that been dry? So a lot of it has died, but ever since it got to this size, it has stayed this way ever since. Like, it's been this way for months. I have no idea why it's alive or why on earth it's doing well in a low light situation, getting water every now and then when I remember. It will, like a dry leaf will form on it every now and then. I gotta cut this off. I was gonna try and pull it, but I feel like I'm gonna break one of the leaves off. If you have this plant, like I've seen people online have this plant and it's humongous. It thrives away, it's so pretty. Mine, it's pretty from afar, you know, and it has the other side of the leaf is like pink. It's so nice. I don't really know how to care for it, and I have no idea why it's still alive because I kind of just always forget about it. I have 3 more. Don't even want to mention the 3 more. I feel like I've just been talking and talking and talking. Let's talk about this one. I'm going to mention this one next. This is a Philodendron Prince of Orange, and I love this plant. This, it looks like it's really, really big for the pot, and not too long ago I was like, I'm gonna repot that into like a bigger pot, and the roots are like this big. Like this plant has the shortest, smallest roots I've ever seen. I picked it up and I was like, oh my goodness, so I put it right back in. So it looks like it's all big, but it's perfectly potted. But the reason this plant has no business being alive is because I bought this, not this past August, but the August before, so August of 2021. And I had never rehabbed a plant before. I didn't even know that that was a thing. Like it's a whole thing, like that's like people's main gig is to rehab plants. Like they enjoy buying stuff off the clearance rack and bringing it home and nursing it back to health. I didn't know that that was a thing. So when I bought this at Osuna Nursery. It was 75% off. It was like their end of summer like clearance thing, and they get rid of like plants that are like kind of messed up. And this plant was out of the pot. It was 2 plants, and I did put both plants back into this pot. Both of them were out of the pot, like they were literally tipped over to the side, just laying on top of the pot. And I had wanted a Prince of Orange so bad. I had never seen one in real life, and I was like, oh my God, here's my opportunity. I'm just gonna put it back in and it'll be fine. And when I brought this home, I took it out of that pot to like repot it, and it was infested with millipedes. I don't remember if they were millipedes or centipedes, but some of the leaves had like munching, like it was eaten up. Like you could tell something was just coming out and eating the leaves. And it was full of those little millipede, centipede things. And I got all the soil off, I threw out that old soil, repotted it into 2 different pots, and I kept it outside all the rest of the summer and like into the fall. And it did so well, like it grew so many new leaves. I was able to pot both of the plants in here, and I had never done anything like that before. You know, rehabbing plants is not really like my favorite thing in the world because I feel like I just want to buy a healthy plant. But buying this one and rehabbing it was just, it was so fun, and I'm so glad the plant did really well. I still love it, it's doing well. Put out a new little leaf here, and I adore this plant. And the reason it shouldn't be alive is because I had never repotted or rehabbed a plant before. This one just kind of worked out. But now I realize how simple and like easy the care for that plant is, so I feel like it was the perfect plant for me to like test out rehabbing a plant. It was perfect. And I think that's all I'm gonna mention today. I still have 2 other ones, but I'm like 15 minutes of already talking about the plants. I'm sure I could do another version of this video, like a part 2. If you want to see it, let me know. But those are some of the mistakes I made on some plants that for some reason are still alive. But I appreciate them now, and I love when I'm able to like try something out on a plant or realize something was a mistake and then the plant doesn't totally die, because then I learned something and then I feel good about it. Like the Prince of Orange, it gave me like confidence to feel like I can take care of a plant when it's on the brink of death. But anyway, that is it. Let me know some plants that you have that are for some reason still living even though they really shouldn't be alive. I would love to know what they are. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and I will see you later in another video. Goodbye.